Welcome to the continued podcast adventures of Superhero Speak.
But I think many of the people that love this character and that love superheroes in general have used these stories as inspiration to say, you know what, I'm going to do something good in the world. I'm going to make a difference like my hero when I was a kid.
That is my fondest memory of it, because when you're doing comic books, you want them to affect people, right? You want people to care. You want to strike emotions, and I knew that Clone Saga was striking a lot of emotions.
Can you imagine Pulp Fiction starring Goofy and Mickey Mouse?
I can totally imagine that.
I'm sure somebody's written that one
quarter
too.
pounder with cheese in France, Mickey? What? Boy, ale with cheese, Mickey. Yeah, I can totally.
See?
I would watch the hell out of that movie.
Yes, I gladly sacrifice up my progeny to you, almighty Marvel beast.
But Neil Adams is somewhere going, it's my time.
How do you measure success? Hey, everyone, and welcome to Superhero Speak. I'm your host, Dave.
And I'm John O'Grady.
I'm JD. I'm back.
You're back. Yes. All the rumors were false. We can take him off the milk carton.
That he was fired
Finally
from
found JD. He's
that
back.
he was fired from Disney. That's
Who wasn't fired from Disney?
Well, we'll get into that.
Yep.
So how is everyone doing? This was Thanksgiving week. Got to be a lot of big, wonderful stories from everyone. Like someone's child sneaking in behind them.
No, that's not news. That just happens every time.
All right, what do you got to say?
Hi.
I thought it was good.
Well, we haven't talked about it yet. We aren't even that part. Okay, we're going to get a sneak preview of the show, of the thing we're reviewing. What did you think?
I thought it was good.
You thought it was good?
Oh, okay.
Good for your review. Hug and kiss.
Awesome.
I love you. Okay, good night, buddy.
Bye.
Yes,
Little snake in the grass.
two big things were revealed in that, and we'll get to that too. All right. So how are you, JD? We haven't seen you in 2 weeks. How is life?
Busy. We're in wrestling season right now. Finals are coming up for school. Just trying not to drown, basically. But I'm okay.
I thought you were doing wrestling, not swimming.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
All right. So I have to ask 2 questions. First, how was your Thanksgiving?
Good. Wife's been sick, so like a bad case of stress, bad case of what do you call it, bronchitis brought on by allergies. So I think we have to get rid of the car because we moved into this house 2 years ago and we haven't gotten rid of the carpeting yet. It's just always something we wanted to do, but we just haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah.
But now I think we have to because the bronchitis is really bad. It's making those allergies flare up. So we were at home for Thanksgiving, just the intermediate family, but it was nice. We had a turkey. I got to see my family, so it was good. Took my kid to pro wrestling last Wednesday. That's always
good.
I
saw the pictures. Yeah,
we had a good time. So yeah, we're good, man.
Cool. And then the other question I have to ask, because you haven't been here, what did you think of Wakanda Forever?
I liked it. I thought it was good. I didn't like it as much as Black Panther.
Okay.
I don't think it's a traditional superhero story. That's kind of what I liked about it. But I don't know. It worked for me. But mainly because Coogler is so good, and I think he provided us an interesting story. But it's not really a superhero story. It's like trying to figure out what to do when the superhero's not around kind of story. Mm-hmm. And if Chadwick Boseman hadn't died the way he did and left this giant hole, I might feel different. But I really feel like this was a movie that mourned the loss of an actor and a character. So as an experiment, it was interesting. Not my favorite, but not bad by any stretch of the imagination. I enjoyed it.
Okay. Did you listen to our review?
No, I was afraid. I heard it got interested, and I'm like, I don't want to take sides. I heard it got personal, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to sit this one out.
No, you gotta listen.
I'm afraid. Listen. I'm literally afraid to listen.
No, you'll.
I'm fine with you listening. I mean,
yes, put it on your to-do list. It's your homework for next week.
Okay, done.
All right. How about you, John?
Well, I overate. I spent time with
Thanksgiving.
Spend time with my nephews. They gave me a parting gift. I'm on some cold medicine right now. I've got the heavy dose of honey with the herbal tea, and we'll see how I feel tomorrow. Because I just started feeling it like a little bit before I left this morning at 5:30 when I drove all the the 4 hours it took me to get home. So really, really fun. Otherwise, it was had a good turkey day, watched a few things. I have recommendations. So we'll talk about that at the end. And yeah, it's been a good week.
Good.
How about you?
Oh, there you go.
When you're the second one, you have to do that.
2, 1. Yeah. I'm afraid to ask. Okay.
This week has been a very interesting month. It's one of those
that's a hell of a statement, sir.
Do you ever have one of those weeks just like gets away from you, and the next thing you know, it's Sunday again, and you're here recording a podcast? Like
kind of what it feels like for me after spending all that time being accosted by 3 nephews. But go ahead.
Well, I mean, it was it's Thanksgiving week, so Tuesday night I went over to my girlfriend's and spent the night because we got up early Wednesday and baked pies and made stuff to did prep work for Thanksgiving, which ended up being more work than I thought it was. I mean, we made 5 pies, so yeah, but it ended up being more work than I thought it was going to be, and made cranberry sauce from scratch. Have you ever done that? It's so much better that way. It really is. So yeah, she made a huge batch, gave me some, kept the rest, for her family, and then Wednesday morning or Wednesday night, she dropped me off. Thursday morning had to get up super early to go to my daughter's to put the turkey in the oven because I'm the one who makes the turkey and the stuffing. So, it's one of those, like, by the time you get to the end of the day, you're like, oh, I'm done. I've had enough. No, I enjoyed myself. We had a great time. Turkey came out great. But then Friday, I was off from work, did some stuff around the house, and then I asked my girlfriend, do you want to just go out and get a couple drinks? And she's like, okay, but, later, like, eat dinner at home. Okay, so we just had leftovers for dinner. And then we went to a local place and decided to get appetizers. So the both of us are walking out of the bar like, oh my God, why did we do that? She's like eating Tums by the handful. Yeah, so it was a terrible gluttonous week. And then the worst thing that happened was her uncle passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yesterday. So looks like, and I'll probably be going with her. Be going next weekend to West Virginia for a funeral. So just post it because it's going to be Saturday. I don't know when we'll be back. It's a 10-hour drive to West Virginia. So yeah, so it'll be
a bit of a haul.
Yep. So she's figuring out if we're going to go Friday night and stay until Saturday, or go drive early Saturday and then stay Saturday night, come back Sunday. So, yeah. So it was a bummer, but I had a good Thanksgiving. I've told you guys, I have 3 granddaughters, right? My daughter's pregnant with my 4th. Twins are Amelia and Alice. And
I thought you said she was bringing up twins again. I was about to say, oh my God, really?
Oh wait, I got a story about that in a second too. And then Claire's the 2-year-old, and it's like Claire has even been funny with me since she was born. Like she gets afraid of like people and stuff. So, and then she'll cry if I pick her up sometimes. But on Thursday, like, she walks up to me with a book, hands it to me, says read, and jumps in my lap. And like that's how she was with me all day. So that made it a great Thanksgiving for me.
That's cool.
That's really cool.
I mean, having 3 toddlers climbing all over you is another story for 8 hours. But
yeah, but they're not yours, so you can give them back.
Exactly. Yes, that's the great part of being a grandparent.
Preferably after giving them a cappuccino and a puppy.
My son, the 20-year-old, was smart and sat in the other room and played video games.
Wise.
So we're not doing social media, but I have 2 things I saw on social media that one thing I posted as a joke. Okay. So I posted a picture of an ultrasound with triplets, right? And then there's like, and I copied and pasted this from a friend's Facebook. And it's one of these like, oh, the end of 2022, 2023 is going to be interesting. Blah, 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 blessing, blah, blah. And then it's like,
you can't do that. You can't do that.
The very last sentence is, I don't know whose triplets these are, but I hope they're happy and healthy in 20.
And how many people fell for it? Like,
wait, hold on.
Read. Okay, continue. Sorry.
Okay. Do you remember Scott? Scott Stopper was my boss at Point Roll.
Barely.
Like, he messaged me like, hey, are you okay? What's going on? Congratulations. I'm like, oh God. And then my brother-in-law called me. So yes.
See, it's why you can't put those things, because people don't actually read
the whole thing. Yeah.
They see 2 sentences and their brain fills in the rest.
So first off, obviously Karen and I have no plans to have children because we're both 48.
Old. Like old.
Also, she's had a hysterectomy. She can't have children. So yes, but yeah, that's because I posted it, but then I did message her and I'm like, should I take this down? Are you okay? She's like, no, that's fine. She thought it was funny, but so I was like, okay. And then when all these people started messaging and whatnot, she's like, it's a good thing you didn't tag me in that.
People are dumb, man.
Yeah. So you guys remember the Who Would Win podcast? We had one of the hosts on a while ago. It's where they.
Oh yeah. I do remember that. Yes.
They had an interesting, they put up who, this versus this, but they're not actually episodes. They just do this polls in their Facebook group every once in a while. And this one had me thinking a little bit because they got specific with the versions. They said the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man versus the Ben Affleck Batman.
Spider-Man, always, all day, twice on Sunday.
Yeah, you think?
He's got psychic powers.
Spider Sense, yeah. Spider Sense trumps all. Even Death Battle did that, and the biggest
is the Spider.
Biggest
sense,
problem was like
Batman can't prep time ESP.
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man knows he's prep timing.
Yep, and then you add in like his training with Iron Fist and Way of the Spider, or was it Shang-Chi,
yeah.
Right? And his Way of the Spider and his super strength, and like it's just.
I mean, it's interesting because a lot of people just right out say Batman because he's their favorite character, regardless of the version. But yeah, like one of the rules with who would win as well is no prep time, like neutral location. They just meet out of nowhere,
which is what Death Battle does. And again, it was 9 times out of 10, yeah. 1,000 times out of 1,000 times, it's Spider-Man because if he had prep time, the only prep that Bruce Wayne would do is to send a nuke to where Spider-Man was, because that it's just like no other way to take him out.
And he can only be so strong where he has the proportionate strength of a spider, but he has super strength is really the simple way to put it. Yeah. Like,
and the only times Batman's gone up against Superman, if you want to, say, well, he's done super strength before, is when he had kryptonite around.
Right.
Or in The Dark Knight Returns, I mean, he had ultimate prep time, but he was in a tank, and then he had a power suit on, and the power suit just got ripped to shreds. So, there's no way.
Yeah. And it's funny too, because I was thinking too, like they always talk about heroes and their weaknesses, and Spidey's biggest weakness is his sense of responsibility. Whereas like the whole thing where it's like, if he had to stop Batman or save a group of people, most heroes was going to save the group of people, but he definitely would. But like Batman's not going to put a group of civilians in harm just to beat Spider-Man. So yeah. All right. There you go, guys. If you're listening to this episode, there's your answer. No need to debate it. So yeah, that's it. That is no social media madness, because this week is so nuts for me. I was not on social media much at all. But if you want to be a part of social media, if you want to follow us on social media, be part of social media madness for next week.
Why would you want to, realistically?
Why do
that? Why do that to yourself?
Here's our good friend D Square to tell you more.
It's the holidays. Talk to your family.
Enjoying the show? Want to be part of social media madness? Make sure you are following superheroespeak.com, where you can find all of the show's social media links at the top of the page. While you're there, you can check out old episodes of the podcast, as well as some other great content. Check the site often, because we are posting some great comic reviews, as well as comic book and movie news content every day. Make sure and follow us on Twitter at SuperheroSpeak. And while you're there, check out the rest of the Geek World All-Stars Podcast Network. You can follow them at @stars_geek. The Geek World All-Star Podcast Network include great programs such as the Pop Prison Power Podcast, Cult 45, So Wizard, Fans on Patrol, the Gorilla Brain Podcast, and of course, Superhero Speak. Search for #GWAllstars. You will not be disappointed. Now it's back to Dave and the boys on Superhero Speak.
Call your mom.
You know, some people don't want to
Twitter's
talk to their family.
You're talking to one of those guys, but all the same, like Twitter's a hellscape right now. You don't want to be part of that.
So thanks for that, Don. And don't forget to check out the Omega Level Nerds podcast, available on YouTube and wherever podcasts are available. And now we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Did we just have a blip in the Matrix?
Yes, we did.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
All right, we are back. We got a little bit of news to talk about here. This first one came out of the blue over the weekend, and that is that Bob Chapek is out as CEO from Disney, and Bob Iger is back. So I don't know. It seemed interesting. It seemed out of the blue, but yet the more I've heard things about it, like it makes a lot of sense. No one liked Chapek.
No, nobody
liked
across the board. Like from the park, they got a friend who's part of Disney Park System. Oh my God, he's been awful for us. I know a lot of the people on the creative side of things weren't fans of Chapek. Like it was not a good corporate marriage there. So you got to bring in the big dog.
But here's the point that I heard that I thought was very interesting is that they brought him in as a pandemic CEO to assure that they stayed profitable during the pandemic. And now that it's winding down, they could put Iger back in place. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Possible. I mean, like, I don't know, man, these corporate things, they say one thing and do another all the time. Like afterwards, like, well, he was our pandemic CEO. Now that we're out of the pandemic, we're going to get it back to the guy. I don't know. Like,
no, like they didn't. That's not a statement from them. This was an analyst that I was watching.
Yeah, but people say things, and people like anytime something shows up in the media, it's a planted story essentially.
Yeah,
right. It's people. Everything is spin. So, I mean, if Iser's the man, why is he out? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It's all weird to me, but I do think he'll do a better job running Disney because he has before.
Yeah, I mean, I just go back to D23 from this year, and he was at a panel and walked out and got booed. Like by the fans.
That's if Ron Perlman went to a Marvel panel, people would boo his ass too. The guy who owned Marvel for generations, not Hellboy.
I was gonna say
Perlmutter.
Perlmutter happened that I didn't hear about.
Not Perlman.
I was way off on that one. Perlmutter, pardon me.
Yeah, like my brother's a huge Disney-fi. Is that what they call them? Like he goes to the parks all the time and all that stuff. And Chapek has said things like he wanted to price the middle class out of Disney and wanted it for the upper class.
They already have. Do you know?
My surprise there. Yeah, have you been to Disney?
My sister's been trying to go. She only goes through like between her company and certain other things, going for every discount she can because otherwise you're spending like $500 a kid for like 2 days. It's ridiculous.
It's a freaking fortune between staying and like surviving, right?
Right. Like, but I mean, he did a lot of things to push it even more.
Yeah, you're right.
He got rid of the meal plans, which I thought was ridiculous. Then he was starting this thing where they kind of it was paying for Fast Pass. And there were all these rumors that was trying to make it so that they wanted to see if people were willing to pay for Fast Pass, would they be willing just to pay to go on the rides in the future? But you're already paying to go in the park.
That's right up there with the people that I've heard that the big automakers are going to start doing subscription services on things like heated seats.
They already
cruise control.
There are already a few that did.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, the technology is already built into your car, but you have to pay a subscription to turn it on.
Motherfuckers, I hate
which somebody like me would just give them a middle finger, go grab my kit and go to the car and turn it on myself, because that's just, if I have to pull a chip, I
go grab your kit and do it yourself. Is that what you call a thing between your legs? Your kit? I go grab my kit and I tell him to do it himself.
I can do my kit. My kit.
No, I'm just one of the most dangerous animals in tech. I am a software developer with a set of Torx screwdrivers. So like, if I have to go in and pull a chip and, go get an aftermarket chip that's reprogrammable, I'll do an EEPROM and put it in there and turn it on. The point is,
like 30% of that.
It's all ridiculous. It is all absolutely ridiculous that all these companies keep pushing us to pay more money. And my sister is saying this is probably the last year she'll go to Disney World because She just
that's-
can't afford it anymore.
And that's the thing, though, is they're gonna hit that point where they're gonna try to make it exclusive only to rich people, and they're gonna realize that it's gonna hurt tourism in Kissimmee, that's the lifeblood of the state of Florida. If you make it,
and Orlando in general, right?
yeah, well, Kissimmee specifically, Kissimmee is nothing but theme parks and whatnot.
Right.
But yeah, the greater Orlando area,
Right.
like when you price out the middleman, then all the businesses connected to Disney hurt.
Yes.
Right. And
Yeah.
it's not going to be good because then something will take its place. Right. And we've seen this happen time and time again with business. Right. It's not the right move. Like, I know these big corporate things like think that that's the move over time. Like, well, look, we were making jokes about Twitter earlier, right? Like Musk is like flirting with the idea of, well, maybe I should just make everybody pay to use Twitter. Okay, then no one will use Twitter, but idiots like these dorks that pay. One of my dearest friends paid for a Twitter account so we could have a check mark, just so we could have a bit on my wrestling show where I made fun of him for paying for it. And I'm like, so what do you actually think about it? Like legit. He's like, this is fucking not worth $8 a month. But there's like idiots that will pay $8 a month so they can have a blue check that doesn't mean anything.
No, there are hackers or organizations out there that will pay that $8 a month so they can spread misinformation about targeted companies or whatever.
But that's the thing, though, is Twitter is so useless at this point. Like, none of they've lost all their major advertisers.
Yes.
Like, we're one step away from, I'll refrain from the joke I was about to make. No pillow jokes here. We're one step away from commemorative coins and stuff like that being sold on Twitter as the primary source, because like all the real advertisers
and reverse mortgages.
That's the other one. Like, we're one step away from that, because it's just like when you go too far in this direction, the consumer rejects it and you ruin something that people really like. And we've seen it before. It's not like this hasn't happened countless times.
It's the problem is, and with any business, is this idea that like, if we didn't make more money than we made last year, then we failed.
Yes.
No, if you haven't made an obscene amount of more
it's about
money,
beating
right?
projections,
because,
right? It's whatever they project for you. You have to beat it,
right? Because
projections,
if you don't beat the projection, you failed, and it's like, well, but you still made money.
Yes,
correct.
you still made more, even if you made more than last. Most of these companies, actually, almost all of them, is like, yeah, we made 20 million more than we did last year.
That's why
the
companies
projection
lay
was
people
40
off,
million,
because they don't beat the projection.
Yeah, and then the price goes down on the stock.
It's not even about profit. It's not about profitability anymore. It's about being wildly profitable.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't make any sense.
It's unchecked capitalism. That's the late stage capitalism.
It is late stage capitalism. You're right. But this has been going on for a while now. It's been good. So I was listening to this podcast. You guys know I'm a wrestling guy, and they're talking about in the 80s, and they mentioned that this Georgia, Atlanta was this big wrestling territory, but it was on HBO when HBO was young. It was like the launch to TBS, right? TBS Superstation became popular because of this wrestling show. People it was number one show on television. But when you crunch the numbers, it wasn't making a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So what happened was somebody else took it over. They became wildly profitable and they were out of business 6 months later. And they came back and they said that the moral of that story was that the profitability wasn't there, but everybody was paid. They had money to line to pay off people that worked in arenas and pay off commissions. And they kept the money moving so that everybody had a little bit of taste. And the business itself wasn't super profitable, but everybody who worked there was paid.
Yeah.
Some guy came and ran it like a sawmill. And he cut a bunch of people, he slashed all these things, and he made it super, and he made everybody around him miserable while making a ton of money. And 6 months later, Vince McMahon bought it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so what did you really do? You had 6 great months, and then you were done.
Yep.
Right. And it was and this it made a light bulb go off in my head where we always talk about, and it's not we don't talk about this, but in society, we talk about how it's about maximizing profits. Well, how many companies have operated on that concept that just don't exist anymore, right? I remember doing a big video for Sears about 6-7 years ago. Sears doesn't exist. Yep. Doesn't exist anymore. Right, I remember looking around going, this is stupid. This is a giant waste of money.
Right, but you're talking about Sears in the context of there was Sears, JCPenney, all the now you have the super mega stores. Walmart goes in lowers their prices, destroys all mom and pop stores in a certain area, and then raises their prices once all those places are gone.
Yeah, but JCPenney and Sears were doing that, decades before. Right.
Right. But now
Blockbuster too. Blockbuster did it to the mom and pop shops, then Blockbuster got wiped out.
True, but they were
Walmart and Target are super aggressive to local companies.
Their companies are too big. They have too much sitting money just sitting in barrels.
100%.
So they can afford to continue to this to the point where they're monopolies.
But I just mentioned Blockbuster. Blockbuster is a great example we were just talking about, right? Because Blockbuster put out all the mom and pop businesses, right? Blockbuster,
but they were beaten by technology.
But not only that, but Blockbuster is also beaten by the fact that they became so obscenely expensive. Right. Is that they were charging these ridiculous late fees and restocking fees and rewinding fees back in the VHS day, to the point where it cost you more money to rent a video in 1998 than it currently costs to stream something on Amazon Prime 20 some years later.
Yep.
That's there you go. And now they got not only was it technology that put them out, but it was a refusal to adapt their business. And it was the same deal. Netflix did it better, faster, cheaper.
Yeah. Well, Netflix started sending the DVDs through the mail, and then they built, and then they undercutting Blockbuster, and then they built up the
next stage. Right.
Yeah. Whoever ran Netflix back then had a freaking crystal ball.
Brilliant.
Brilliant. Yeah. To build up the streaming before streaming was actually even possible and have that ready.
Blockbuster Entertainment in the mid-90s was one of the most powerful corporations in America. They merged with Viacom, much like AOL, and now they don't exist.
Yep.
So
just to bring it back, Disney just raised their prices on I have Hulu with ads, Disney without ads, and ESPN with ads, and they just raised my price to $15. I think it went up $2.
Yeah.
So
that's
streaming.
But when you crunch that, you're like, that's three platforms that hit just about every desire you have for $15. It's still better than cable.
There's no anime on there, so no.
For a normal human being.
Well, I don't even oh my God, that's
I don't even want ESPN though.
It's getting ridiculous with all this.
I don't have ESPN.
All the subscription services are getting ridiculous too.
We talked about it. We talked about it for years on the show. When do we hit peak market? When do we hit peak market saturation with these streaming platforms? We're there.
Yeah,
we're there. Starting to contract.
Just this weekend, a holiday movie came out with Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds called Spirited, which I think is another take on Scrooge.
Yeah,
and it's a musical and whatnot, and all these people are praising it. I saw commercials for it, and I thought it was coming to the theater, and it's it's on Apple TV.
Oh, I watched.
Right, and it's I'm not going to get Apple TV. This is ridiculous, but
Weird Al's movie is on Roku.
That's free. Anyone,
but that's free.
Right.
Exactly. That's the big difference.
You have to have a Roku, right?
But here's my thing.
You can watch it on your laptop.
Oh, okay.
For free. The Roku channel is free for anybody.
Interesting.
But here was my point:
another
is that
streaming service I have to put.
But here's my point with the streaming services is that more and more they're putting money out to make these big things to draw people in. But I mean, maybe I'm wrong, and hey, if people listening can tell me I'm right or wrong here, I do think more and more I hear from people no, this is ridiculous. I am not signing up for 20.
Oh yeah.
Services, so I'm just not going to go. I'm not going to sign up for Apple TV, so I just won't see it.
That's where I'm at.
So you're basically cutting your possible audience down majorly. Instead of putting money out to make this and then distributing it on DVD, Blu-ray, or other platforms.
But look at it like this: if you having been on this side of the fence as a filmmaker, you need to pay to make your movie. Right. Like I talked before, everyone needs to get paid. So if you sell yourself to a distributor, right? Because that was back in the day, a decade and a half ago. You were marketing your film to a distributor. Once your film was distributed, it was up to the distributor to put it out, to put it into the marketplace. Right. And then you were limited by what the distributor would do anyway. So once you've made your product, it's kind of out of your hands, right? And you might not like it, but it's buyer beware. Or in this case, seller beware, right? If you're going to sell yourself to Apple TV or Prime or whatever, you have to understand that you're going to make money, but you're cutting off your potential audience. Yeah. And it is what it is. Because again, I get for most creators, well, okay, I get to do something else. right? And it's just the nature of it. It's like comics, man. Like I want to read a comic. Like if I have to read the big events, right? Like no matter what Marvel was doing with the X-Men books, I was not buying New Mutants. I just wasn't going to do it.
Yeah.
I didn't like the book. So, you're going to try to make me buy this, but I'm not going to do it. Right.
Yeah.
And that's why those things, the nature of those things changes. Like capitalism and consumerism will push us to our breaking point of at what point will we stop spending? And usually they listen to the market and they'll stop.
But that's the point I'm getting to is like all of these companies are like, well, we're just going to make our own platform because we want to control it and we want to make all the money. But all you're doing is saying, no, we want to create a smaller market and not make as much money.
And that's the problem is you're right. Everyone thought about, I want all this money for myself. And like, it hasn't worked for anybody because Michelle and I watched House of Dragon, this great show. And we're looking at like the production, like it's unbelievable. She's like, how do they pay for this? And I said, I don't know. Like it all comes from retaining subscribers, right? Because at this point, you're not trying to grow your subscriber base. We've hit that. No one's growing. It's about retaining them. And is this stuff enough to retain your base? And I think the answer is no. But at the same time, if you don't produce these things, then you're going to lose everybody. And then what? Right?
Because that's the thing. A lot of the stuff that's made by third parties does eventually end up on Blu-ray or some other platform to be able to watch it. But the stuff that's exclusively made by that platform just lives on that platform.
For now.
But also keep in mind that if you look at like mathematics and business, there is the concept of like, what was it? Just slipped my mind. Like if you have enough people, we just hit 8 billion people on the planet, right?
Too many people. Sorry.
We have, was it 336 million people in America? And that is enough people that you can have all these streaming services and have enough subscribers to each one to fund each one, right? And the thing is that a lot of people will have a number of them, and that number might change. But I think we're getting to a point now where we're getting like you said, we're at saturation point. But now it's just going to be like a fight over keeping your subscribers, but like it's just gonna ebb and flow now for a couple of years. It'll go up and down for all these subscriptions. Like one guy puts out a House of Dragon, whatever, so everybody goes to Netflix, then goes away again and goes to something else, and it's just going to be like that for a while we're waiting for some of these others to either give up the ghost or whatever. Right. But the thing
but here's the thing is that's what we talked about is these things could all function if the idea of these giant conglomerations wasn't to maximize profits at all times. Because you could keep this stuff going fine if your CEO didn't have to make $800 million a year.
Right. And it's called economies of scale. That's what I was getting at. So like if you have enough people, then enough people to support that many in the like actual people in the United States and wherever they're selling these subscriptions, then it doesn't matter, that it's split people down the middle or into 10 different groups or whatever, because there's enough people to support it, So like we may get a little contraction, and then like there's enough people to just support 10, 12 different streaming systems for however long. Our population keeps growing. So there may be enough population to support more later. It's just economies of scale. It's just what it is,
True. But here's an interesting thought. So there's obviously people talking about how businesses run and how they like screw people over. Cable companies created arbitrary borders, right? So they won't compete with each other. What they do is they cross over in little areas so that they're not considered monopoly, because they can sit there and say, well, we compete with this person in this market, and we compete with this company in this market. But if they were said, no, you've got to be national and you all have to compete with each other, prices for cable would be ridiculously low. And I don't know if Netflix and those companies would have ever taken off the way they did. Because if you were only paying, let's say, $50 a month for all the channels on cable, would you bother, signing up for Netflix?
Yeah, probably not. I mean, honest to God,
and it's funny because I have a real story where that works. I have a friend who lived in like Allentown, and that's one of those towns where there's 3 cable companies that intersect. And he told me this is going back years ago, he had like all the channels and was paying $30 a month. He moved to Philadelphia and said, "What are my choices for cable?" And the landlord said, "Choices, Comcast. Here's the number." And he said he was shocked how much they were charging. Where he originally lived, it was so much less, because there's no competition for them. So yeah, it's
sorry.
Bless you.
I couldn't find them. I couldn't hit the mute button fast enough. No, you're right. Like if there was a legit free market, it would work. But the problem is we don't have free markets anywhere.
No.
Right? It's not real. This concept of a free market. You're right. There would not be a cable company dedicated to a town. Well, this town has this. Well, what else? Or the competition is Dish, and it's like, oh, I don't need that. And for us, this is back 8 years now. We got rid of cable. Or my wife's like, this is insane what we're paying for cable, and we barely watch it.
Yeah.
And then again, it was like getting off a crack. You're like, I can't do it. And then fell in love with Roku, and I'm like, oh, I don't need anything. Right? This is all I need.
Yeah. Speaking of all this, I just want to say, I just look up the Disney Plus. Like I said, I've got ESPN. I didn't want it. Right. They do not have a bundle with just Disney Plus and Hulu without ads.
I don't think we bundle it, to be honest with you. Because I have Disney.
They do. They have.
I don't think I have a bundle. I think I paid for Disney Plus and Roku separately.
Well, I grandfathered in because I had Hulu before and then Disney.
Same.
Right. So, but now they're changing them. You've only got to the end of this year. And they're changing. You probably have an email in. But the thing is, there is no bundle. There's no bundle where you can get Hulu and Disney without ads that doesn't include ESPN as well.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. My son-in-law was in the same boat. I wonder if he saw the email yet, because he was. They don't have ESPN, but they have Hulu and Disney.
But that brings up that they're doing exactly the same thing that cables companies do, because the reason why some of the cable company bills are so high is because the NFL, the NBA, and the MSL, they charge outrageous freaking amount, and the cable company can.
They don't. They either. Okay, hold on. Because again, the wrestling podcast, I have this on the side. They're not charging the NFL. These people are bidding these cable companies. Well, yeah. Now they're bidding them.
Right.
Hundreds of millions of dollars because for the rights to show this stuff, because live sports is the only consistent draw on television.
But the only way to subsidize that, the only way to subsidize that bill is to charge all of their subscribers, whether they wanted it or not.
Correct.
And now Disney's doing the same thing with ESPN,
because Disney owns ESPN, and they got to pay for that. They got to pay. They pay like $4 billion for UFC, so they got to pay for that stuff.
Right. So basically, they're it's another cable company. Maybe that's what we wind up with
But that's the thing, though. I think Disney's trying to be that. When you look at it, because you have Hulu for your network, you have Disney for your all encompassing, and then you have ESPN. Legitimately, they're trying to be the one-stop shop, and they're the only ones that have the opportunity to make that claim. Warner is still playing catch up from being Warner. Paramount, Viacom, whatever it is these days, they can't do it. Netflix is getting into, the rumor is Netflix is going to be getting into live sports. They're already flirting with IRL racing, right?
Oh, good. XFL is coming back, right?
Hey, Dwayne owns the XFL now. It's going to, that dude, it's going to be a minor league football thing, but it's going to make money now, man.
Speaking of rumors,
we have a show.
Yeah.
Speaking of rumors, this is a rumor that has popped up many times, and I still don't believe it, but apparently there are more sources reporting on it this time. They're saying Kathleen Kennedy is going to be out as the head of Lucasfilm, which...
I've heard that before.
I mean, I haven't watched it yet, but everyone's loving Andor, so I can't see...
Everyone is loving it. I've not heard one negative thing about Andor. And again, I didn't love Rogue One. I really think Rogue One is one of the weaker Star Wars films that has just this phenomenal ending. And Cassian Andor was not a favorite character, but I have not heard one person say a single negative thing about Andor.
I have not. So I can't. Everyone loves Mandalorian. She's in charge of all that stuff. She's made a really good TV shows. So I don't know why.
But wasn't Mandalorian, what's his name from Marvel that took it, that was in charge of that? It wasn't her. It was
Feige did it, but she had to green light it. She's the boss. She could have said no to it.
Well, yeah, but the things that she's been directly involved in have not gone so well. Like the last 3 Star Wars movies.
Well, let's not get into that. But I will say that that's just she made poor choices and now she's making better choices. I think
that's business. Okay. Look at it like this. She made poor choices and she's had the opportunity to go back and make better choices. How often does that happen? Right.
Usually you're kicked out once you
Right.
make the better because you've cost them money.
Because she's powerful and respected.
Yeah.
Right. And again, now would not be the time to fire her. Was in like 2017 after 2018.
Yeah, not now.
Yeah, whenever Jedi came or whenever Skywalker came out, that was the time to axe her. Now she's actually been fine. Like everything they've done in the last 3 years has been really good.
Well, let's see if Iger likes her though, right?
Who hired her? I mean, she's been there. Like he made the deal. He made the Disney deal, the deal to buy Lucasfilm, and she comes over from Lucasfilm.
Yeah,
like she was part of the deal.
That's where one of the things that I read that where they're saying the rumor comes from is they're saying Iger doesn't like her, but you're right. He's the one that brought her in. So yeah, that would be a weird move for him to come back and then get rid of her.
I don't
especially.
I mean, considering this thing just happened, really, like it just happened. I don't think he's thinking about that right now because it's working. These guys don't fuck with stuff that's working. That's like someone goes, "Well, Feige might be out." Why? It's working. You know?
Yeah, I think it's just.
I think her mistake with the prequel or the sequel trilogy was not hiring someone to give it a unified vision.
Yeah.
That was the problem, is they didn't have George Lucas on there, guiding the ships.
Mm.
Yeah, but when you hear the stories he wanted to do.
I meant just like, not him specifically, but just like that unified vision of like, this is what these movies are going to be. Like Feige, basically. Feige essentially runs Marvel the way Lucas did Star Wars. There's not a lot of difference.
Yeah. But I mean, basically Lucas wanted just the 6 movies he made to be about Darth Vader. And then anything after that had nothing to do with the Skywalker family.
Well, because he was done with them. He really felt like he closed the loop in 1983. Like, so he has not been interested in doing anything with them since. And I like the new Star Wars movies, but in retrospect, I don't think they're necessary.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think they added a lot to just from because we've gotten since has been so much better, right? I think that's my qualm with them. Is like they're not bad, but they so lack from just coherency. Like from one to the other, there's no overarching vision to it, and that bothers me. Like we set stuff up that doesn't go anywhere, and that's. I read this article about how the problem is J.J. Abrams' mystery box marketing. Ooh, what's in this? What's that? And they're making another movie. Like, well, I don't care what that is, which is a problem. Like if you set up all these mysteries, the stories need to drive around what those are.
Isn't that the problem with Lost?
Yeah, it was. That's why they're J.J. Abrams it's a flaw in his work. He's really good at getting you invested.
And I also
not as good at paying it off.
I feel like that's why he walked away after doing one movie. He wanted to set up all this stuff and then walk away from it so he didn't have to finish it.
Well, that's the thing too, is like he wasn't hired to finish. They already had Rian Johnson on board to do that movie before he even finished the second movie. That was a Kathleen Kennedy thing because she didn't have a Kevin Feige at the time to guide the ships.
Yeah.
Right. We didn't have if Dave Filoni was in charge at the time and be like, okay, this is what 7, 8, 9 are going to be. And then we could like get in the room and talk about it. That's the problem is nobody got in the room and talked about these things, which is fucking amazing to me. You had these billion-dollar movies that were just not planned out.
No.
It's astounding to me, especially because Lucas was so meticulous with everything. It's wild, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean, again, he didn't have the same plan that he didn't have a plan, but yet he thought about it as he went through, and they all made sure it connected and made sense.
But it's his story. So I'm like, if you kind of know, because again, when you're writing, and again, Lucas, speaking as writer, when you know where you're going, you can veer, you can let stuff kind of change and evolve as you go along with your story, but you kind of know where you're going, right? The problem was, it was like, this was a game of telephone.
Yeah.
Right. It was like an experiment. Like, I'm going to write this part of the story. You're going to write this part of the story, and you're going to write this part of the story.
And be angry about the last movie. So screw with that guy, the last guy's plot.
But that's the thing is like, they just weren't interested in doing each other's. That's a terrible way to make a series of. If you're letting them do their own movies, right? Like they did with like Rogue One and Solo, like and those movies kind of like existed on their own. It is what it is. They just
True.
The plan was just, it's wild. Again, in retrospect, it was a terrible idea, But
And
if you're going to fire her, she should have been fired years ago.
Right. And it's also not like the Marvel model where this guy's making Iron Man movies, this guy's making Thor movies, this guy's making Captain America, and then we're going to bring them together in the Avengers. This is parts 7, 8, 9 of a continuing story.
Yeah, and Feige's sitting there pulling the strings to make sure everything's going the way it should, so you don't get crashes.
That's his job. Kevin Feige is literally the dude spinning plates, right? And he's got to really spin the one. This one's sort of got to spin this one. Got to run over here, spin this plate, and he's really good at it. Like he's essentially the editor in chief of Marvel Cinematic Universe. He does like the job that like Stan Lee and Joe Quesada and Tom DeFalco and all those guys had, and he's taken like a very comic approach to filmmaking, right? So people like we can segue into this with Quentin Tarantino bitching about it, but I mean like that's corporate comics. They've taken that exact same business structure for better or worse and applied it to film.
Yeah, and I think you're right. That's a good segue where Quentin Tarantino will not shut up.
Didn't mean to do it, but it worked out pretty good.
He won't shut up, and he came out and said,
"He's Quentin Tarantino, man. He does not shut up."
Well, you weren't here because we talked about. First thing he said was he would never direct. Oh wait, you were here for that episode.
I think I was here for that.
Yeah, he won't direct a Marvel movie. Like, good, no one wants you to. And now it's like the problem with Marvel movies is the Marvel model. I think that's what he said. It's destroyed the movie star. The character's now more important than the star. Good. That means you're writing good stories. I think.
I mean, like there's pluses and here's the thing: I don't think he's wrong necessarily. I think the way he's selling it is not correct. But I mean, it's not just the Marvel method; it's the franchise method.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that was a flaw in films in the 80s and 90s where a lot of things were just star vehicles. Right. Yeah. And this actually goes back even further than that, where they just churn out movies. Right. Reese Witherspoon churning out movies where she's basically doing the same thing over and over again.
Right.
But it worked and people liked it. Right. And it was fine. And this thing is Marvel's not different. But the problem is like instead of it being a star vehicle, he's right. The star is Captain America.
Right.
Like he's not
Chris Evans.
He's not wrong, but at the same time, Quentin Tarantino didn't make star vehicles. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what he's complaining. I mean, like it's weird for him to say that because this is a guy who was notorious for just doing his own thing in Hollywood. So it's not like he's never really been a guy who's made star vehicles.
I feel like. Well, and then the weird thing was Anthony Mackie agreed with him, which I thought was interesting because
I think he's right. I do think he's right. There are no movie stars anymore. Very few people draw a box office based on their name.
But the weird thing about Anthony Mackie agreeing with him, and this is going to sound weird, if we didn't have that model, you couldn't get away with him taking over the role of Captain America.
Yeah.
Because people are watching the movie because of Captain America, not because Chris Evans or Anthony Mackie is playing the character.
Let me put it to you another way. Anthony Mackie plays Falcon.
Right.
But that's the thing is like, it's not like, okay, I should say Falcon is played by Anthony Mackie. It's not Anthony Mackie plays Falcon. You know what I'm saying? It's not a star vehicle and it's better for the stars if they are the driver, but they're not, right? Marvel's the driver.
You want to know the perfect example of this?
Lay it on me.
Doctor Who.
Yeah.
The Doctor's been played by 13 different people now.
16 at this point.
16. Oh, that's right. Because and then the future one, and then
somebody twice.
Doctor, right? So
David Tennant, baby.
No, David Tennant 3 times.
Very excited.
But there you go. They're watching it because they want to watch the Doctor.
Doctor Who,
and it's been a different person. Yeah, over
that's a feature though. Like they sold us that since the 70s, 60s,
right?
That the Doctor is like you betrothed it to another person eventually.
Right. But it's the same thing. Whoever is Captain America, then
Right, and they don't also pick like a big star to take over the Doctor's role.
No, they pick really sometimes very obscure people.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. But at the same time, we have reached a point with the Marvel movies where you can't in this thing is you could say that it's killed this. And this is where I think Quentin Tarantino's argument falls. They cannot announce Tom Cruise is playing Iron Man tomorrow because Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Anthony Mackie can be Captain America, but he cannot be Steve Rogers.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And I think that sometimes we're losing sight of that is that the stars do have power in there because they can't replace. We just talked about Wakanda Forever, and they didn't even consider replacing with Boseman because they just, I'm saying like these actors become so associated with these roles. and it's been like, but then when they're done, it's like, okay, it's time for us to move on to something else, which is interesting because if it was just about Captain America, you just put in the old dude in the Captain America out, like with Batman, right? They've done that with Batman.
Yeah,
You put
that's
another
true.
dude, you put another dude in the bat suit, and it works. It has not shown to work in Marvel as of yet, with the
But-
exception of Hulk.
I will sit there and say that, like, he's blaming Marvel, but it's Batman
No.
that caused it.
It's probably Batman. You're right. It's probably a generation earlier of Batman. It's just Marvel doesn't. Marvel's done it more effective.
But I mean,
efficiently,
there's been
should say.
so many Batman, and like people go to see the movie because it's Batman,
Because it's
not
Batman.
because Val Kilmer or Ben Affleck or whoever is playing Batman. They go because they want to see a Batman movie.
Mhm.
So,
Agreed.
I feel like he's so jealous of Marvel.
No, I don't think he's jealous. I think Quentin likes to be the center of attention, and now he's reached a point where he's getting older, and he's not the iconoclast anymore, right? So he's just standing on. And again, these are guys like Quentin Tarantino and Martin Scorsese are dudes who made their living or made their name being mavericks outside the system. So of course they're going to have this opinion because it's always what they've had. They've always been guys who did their own thing outside of Hollywood. They never made star vehicles. Like stars work with Martin Scorsese because like, oh my God, I'm going to work with Martin Scorsese. And then you made his movie. It wasn't like those guys made star vehicles, right? Like they are auteurs. They are the drivers of their films always. That can't exist in the Marvel world, so they don't like it. But it's not like it was any different than Westerns, right? Or sci-fi films. This is just always what those particular guys have been. Like Scorsese came up in the Maverick 70s era, which begat the blockbuster 80s, which again begat the Maverick 90s. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like there are these big giant swings in Hollywood, which again in the 90s and the 2000s it went the other way. 2010s it became it's kind of gone there. Now we have this big independent film movement of guys who are doing things and it's all being released streaming. It's weird. And like Quentin's just being Quentin.
I think you're right too. You're right. When you said auteur, it made me think about it. It's like, yeah, he's the guy. That's why because he made the comment we talked about last time where he's like, I wouldn't work for Marvel because the directors are just hired hands. Like,
well, his best friend is one of them. Like Robert Rodriguez does stuff for Disney all the time. He directed a bunch of episodes of Mandalorian. But Robert Rodriguez isn't like that. Robert Rodriguez will absolutely do something like that because he's into it.
Yeah.
And he's not like, again, Rodriguez very easily could have been like Tarantino, like his best friend, but he's not. He's always been, he like legit does whatever movie he wants to do.
Yeah.
And does it his way, but never makes like a big deal about it. He just does stuff. Whereas Quentin, Robert Rodriguez's movies are like, he markets the movies as the movies. He doesn't do this is a Robert Rodriguez thing, where Quentin Tarantino's all about marketing Quentin Tarantino.
I know.
And Scorsese's the same way to an extent.
I really think he's just upset there's not enough feet in Marvel movies.
Hey man, that's a dude who works through his own issues on film.
You think so? You think that's
Constantly.
what that is?
Hey man, I'm not going to say a bad word about Quentin Tarantino because like Reservoir Dogs is still one of the best movies ever made. It's fucking awesome. To this day, Reservoir Dogs holds up and it's great.
I don't know.
Oh no! Speak ill of any other movie that he made, but Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah, you're right.
Awesome.
But I think that's part of the problem is that like, and I'm not like, I like some of his movies, but I kind of feel like he made such a really good movie for his first outing. He gets put up on this pedestal right away.
Yes, that happened a lot in the 90s because that's what they were marketing. They were marketing auteurs. Like,
Right.
that was the big marketing driver of movies in that era was you had star vehicles and you had director vehicles. Right. And he got like, that was Miramax's whole thing. Miramax built their whole business on, we have these genius filmmakers. We make movies that are smart, that win Oscars.
Yeah. But remember, like, it wasn't just Reservoir Dogs. I mean, God, he did Dusk to Dawn, Pulp Fiction.
No, that was Robert Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Oh, written by, right? Yeah, well,
he wrote it.
Pulp Fiction,
a great movie. Jackie Brown is a great movie. Kill Bill, phenomenal movie. The man's a magnificent filmmaker. He's an absolute fucking lunatic. But he's a great filmmaker.
I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Pulp Fiction. So
But I mean, like, okay, here's the thing about Rodriguez. Is like, I mean, about Tarantino is he has his own movie, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not like you can like go, I'm not sure who directed this movie. If Quentin Tarantino directed the movie, you're like, oh, that's very clearly.
Well, yeah, because the buckets of blood, right? It's like,
Well, buckets of blood. I mean, like feet and like, but he's got things like there's.
He's got certain camera shots and stuff that he does.
Absolutely,
He definitely has a fingerprint, you know?
He is, and that's good. There needs to be more Tarantinos in this world. There does. We need to have guys who, because not everyone can exist in the studio system. There needs to be guys, doing stuff. Like there's a ton of them in horror coming out right now that I really like, and it makes me excited because horror is like this new revolution of like really interesting, gritty horror movies. Like we got to be like, someone's got to do like the 90s again, where a new generation is making really cool, like gritty films that have their own personality. The way Scorsese did, the way Tarantino. I think what disappoints them is if we're not seeing enough of those guys. Like who is the next one of those? And someone's coming, right? Like look at Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith was in the exact same boat as Quentin Tarantino 30 years ago.
Right.
And he wound up just being a big pop culture geek. That's his contribution to society at the moment.
Yeah, it's a shame.
He's never grown as a filmmaker, quite frankly.
No, that's true. I mean, but I love Chasing Amy. I think that's such a great movie.
It is. It's his best movie. He never came close to sniffing it again. But
he didn't. And then, and I just feel like then he just like said, "Screw it," and now we got Clerks 3, and it's like, okay.
Oh, because he's in his 50s. He's just playing the hits to make money.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. He has never been interested in pushing himself cinematically.
No.
Like Dogma was his attempt to make, and I like Dogma, but that was his attempt to work with a budget and work with a studio. And then after that, he tried to push himself out of his genre with like Jersey Girl and Cop Out and those kind of things. And it didn't work. He's good at making, and he, by his own admission, he is good at making Kevin Smith movies, and that's about it.
Yeah.
And again, he's never, I wonder if his own, because again, people threw comic book stuff at him for years and he like ran away from it. And I wonder if he would have ran toward that a little bit if he wouldn't have grown more as a filmmaker, because he hasn't grown as a filmmaker in almost 20 years.
No, he has not. It's a shame.
He's an important voice in geek culture. So he's making contributions in other ways, which is fine. He actually writes some good comics whenever he gets around to doing it. He's a better writer than he is a filmmaker. I would always say that. He probably should have just been a writer, realistically speaking.
Possibly. All right. Well, I think
we haven't talked about that in a long time. That was exciting.
We need to talk about. All right, that's it for the news. So we need to talk about our main topic.
Editor's note. Okay, we did not take a break here recording, but realized we need to add a commercial break. So after these messages, we'll be right back.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
It's the holidays, guys. We had to pop some popcorn and put up some tinsel and watch the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. And let's see. Let's go around the room and see what people thought. John, you look disgusted.
You look very You look very O'Grady at the moment.
Oh no! I'm just like I told you. They gave me the plague.
Okay.
I'm feeling it. But actually, I sat down to watch the holiday special with my sister and her family, and I got the input of the kids, and they all really liked it actually, and I liked it too. I really did. It was kind of fun, and it was quick, bite-sized, and Kevin Bacon's in it, which completely destroys the 6 degrees of bacon game, because now you can basically connect them to just about anybody with 2 or 3 degrees.
Probably do it in 4, just about anybody now.
Yeah, because I mean, you add him to the MCU, and almost everybody's been through the MCU now. You're gonna have to take like actors out of Turkey in order to get back to 6. But yeah, I liked it. Very musical, but that's the way he works. So
yes, I don't know what Christmas time is, but Christmas time is here. So. What about you, JD?
It was much better than the Star Wars holiday special.
Oh yeah, well,
that's a very low bar. Very, very low bar to get over.
Oh no, I really liked this movie quite a bit. Like it's like comfort food. Like it's like a big old plate of spaghetti, right? And that's like, for me, that's like comfort food. Yep. It was great to see Gunn back in the MCU, and revisiting characters I haven't seen him with in a while. And I read someone else say, so I can't take credit for this, but I think he gets those characters a lot better than the Russos or Taika Waititi did, or you know, like the Guardians with Gunn just feel right, and he gets their tone, and like there's just something that works about this. And this was actually a very sweet story, and I really liked it. It made me laugh. It warmed my heart. You know, very much not about Quill.
It's funny, real quick. I saw something where Hemsworth said he would like to play Thor one more time, but he doesn't want Taika Waititi to direct.
He did not. I mean, well, let's be honest. Love and Thunder wasn't that great.
Yeah.
You know, it was a little too slapsticky.
Yeah.
Right. It was too much Tika. I said that in the review. It was too much Tika Waititi. It's like
you're right. You're right. I don't know if that was my feeling at the moment, but in this is kind of why I don't like doing. I almost think I need like 6 months on a movie before I really review it, because there's like oftentimes I find that my initial reviews are wrong. You know, where I'll go back and like, I was wrong about that. Like sometimes think you need to cook on a movie sometimes. But no, I mean, in retrospect, Love and Thunder was kind of not what it could have been.
Yeah.
Right. And it's very clear that Hemsworth is not thrilled with it.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to derail it, but
no, it's fine. I think it's important to the tone. I mean, like, tone is important. And like the Thor movies have been all over the place with tone. And I think what made Ragnarok work was it was serious, but it was also funny. Whereas Love and Thunder should have been a lot more serious in places when it wasn't.
Especially with the heavy topics they were dealing with.
And like we got rid of it for just like, it was too much slapstick, you know?
Agreed.
But like this the Guardians has always been funny, but there's always a lot of heart to it, which is important about the Guardians. And like they got again, it's Gunn, so he gets that. And like the whole thing with Kevin Bacon, it worked, man. It really, really worked for me.
Yeah, I loved it. I may have teared up a couple times watching it, to be completely honest.
Me too.
I thought it was interesting that I keep saying two big reveals that came.
What big reveals were we talking about? I mean, I watched this movie, like, I don't know what you're talking about. What big reveals are we discussing?
Cosmo the dog can talk. Oh wait,
no. The
canon.
First reveal,
Cosmo, we always knew Cosmo could talk.
Yeah, I know.
The first reveal, like, it makes sense, but they never straight out said it, is that Quill and Mantis are brother and sister. Like that's the whole juxta of the special.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in spoiler. We didn't. This is a fun little.
If you're this far, you know what we do. So,
yes. And the other one, this was a huge reveal. The GoBots are part of the MCU.
Man, I saw Psykill and I was like, no way.
That is hysterical that they are like kind of canon now. Like they're actual GoBots out there.
The GoBots attacked his family. It killed Drax's family. Like, it was just, like, that was hysterical. And when they're doing the montage and he's beating them up in the background,
shit out of them. I love them making money by taking pictures by playing cosplayers.
Oh my god!
I was like, what a great idea!
Yeah,
it was fun.
They thought he was Kratos from the game God of War.
God of War.
Yeah,
and I'm going to say that too. Like, it was weird. Because
weird. The whole thing is weird.
I can't. Who's the actress who plays Mantis?
Clementif.
She's
Chinese. And Dave Bautista, like, they carry.
Oh yeah,
60% of this.
Okay, Bautista's great.
Yeah,
in everything. Like, there's always like, well, who's the best wrestler to become an actor? The answer is Dave Bautista. He's awesome, and he's got a ton of range. John Cena's shown potential. The Rock is good at being The Rock.
Yes,
Dave Bautista is an actor.
He is. I was like, it was just so good. Like, I mean, I guess he's playing Drax and he's playing that character, but like,
it's a character. Yeah. And it's not, that character is not Bautista. Like, let's be honest, most of what The Rock does is variations on The Rock.
Yeah.
Again, he's got the Schwarzenegger career. It works. It's fine. He's figured out how it works. You want your argument on star vehicles. Dwayne's got them all. Like, that dude's figured out how to keep it going. Dave Bautista's an actor, man. He plays characters.
Yeah. Oh,
it's fun to watch. Like, you can feel that he's having fun. Like, it's hard for some actors to do that, but like, you know, he's one of them that just, you know, you watch him and you can. It's not just his acting; it's that he's having fun, and you can feel that. It's really cool.
There's very few gun productions where I don't think that's the case, where it doesn't feel like everybody's having a really good time working on this.
Yeah.
You know,
True.
and Peacemaker was the same way, and you know, even Suicide Squad, his Suicide Squad, like it feels like everyone's enjoying what they're doing.
Yes.
Oh, and shout out for the old 97s, apparently, right? The band.
I didn't know who they were. I had to look that up.
Yeah, like they're very good, right? And the lyrics are hysterical. I think
we're hysterical.
I think Gunn had a hand in actually writing some of the song and the lyrics too.
Apparently, it was one of his favorite bands from the 90s.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, that makes sense.
I was like, oh, who the hell are the old 97s? Like, I never.
Whoever they are now, they better be making TikToks or whatever, because they've got everybody. I mean, even the kids, even my nephews, like mentioned that they like the songs.
Andy was also singing that song at bath time tonight, so I think that might become. There's this big thing about how Mariah Carey's "All I Want for Christmas" became like this huge thing, and like the record company told her not to record her own Christmas song, and like. Again, hearing the Smashing Pumpkins Christmas song and this, we go, oh yeah, most Christmas songs freaking suck, but hers worked, and like, I think they might have something here. I think this might become a thing. I do.
Yeah. Did you see her at the Thanksgiving Day parade, the Macy's?
No. Who's her?
Mariah Carey.
Mariah Carey? No.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. I'm sorry. She was lip syncing, and it just
they all lip sync.
They all lip sync.
But she
only
was
a crazy
off.
person.
Like, that's what drove me nuts. She was lip syncing and she was off on her own song, and it was like,
now, is she off because of the playback? Is she off because of delay? Is she? There's a lot. I mean, like
they have logistical problems all the time there.
Also, I'm sorry. You're like, when you're going like this, and all of a sudden the mic's down below your face, and it's still the same volume. Like stuff like that drives me nuts.
They only just brought her out, dude. Come on.
Nobody cares about that kind of stuff because you're going there
as a musician. I cared about that stuff. Seeing like
there's
a difference lip syncing. I really do.
But that's what they do though in these things. Like it's not.
It's what she does all the time.
Yeah.
Ugh. No.
It doesn't bother. It doesn't bother me. All I Want for Christmas Is You is a Christmas classic that I'm going to hear 8 billion times over the next month.
I do everything in my power to avoid it.
What's your favorite Christmas song?
My favorite Christmas song? That's a good question. Actually, believe it or not, it's probably John Lennon's "So This Is Christmas."
You would say that. That's the most depressing Christmas song I've ever.
It is, right?
But it's John Lennon. I mean,
it is John Lennon. Yeah.
Contrast that with Paul McCartney's.
So this is Christmas, and what have you done? Like that's the song. Like you're a piece of shit.
Contrast that with Paul McCartney's "Simply Having a Wonderful
Christmas Time." Yeah, it's frivolous as fuck. I'll give you that one. John, favorite Christmas song?
Well, I would say Bob Rivers walking around in women's underwear, but
that's also a very O'Grady answer. So.
I don't know. Like Mavis Staples is good, right? Why am I remembering her? Normally, I can't remember her. Mavis Staples, she did Christmas Vacation. And then
that's a great song.
Yeah. And
from a great movie, but that song it also rules.
It does. It's catchy.
It is.
And Santa's Coming for Us.
I'm not familiar with that one.
And then there's She Daisy. She Daisy is did a Christmas medley. So that is amazing.
The fact that you have more obscure picks than the average person, again, very John O'Grady, and I appreciate that. For me, Darling Love, man.
Oh yeah.
Baby, please come home. That is my favorite Christmas song. Not just because it is the opening to Gremlins, but I am also a giant fan of Phil Spector's Wall and is an absolute lunatic, but I really like his production style.
Right. Christmas Baby Come On. Yeah, I've got that one on my list too.
Oh, it's my favorite Christmas song.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
Then you could do like Wham! Last Christmas is also pretty good. There's a whole bunch from there. Oh, and Christmas Wrapping.
By the waitresses, right?
Yeah, the waitresses. Christmas
Wrapping. I like that one too.
I am unfamiliar with that one.
There's a really dark story behind that one. If you ever get the chance, like I think Todd in the Shadows on YouTube did Christmas Wrapping. Like he'll pick a song and then he'll tell you all the story behind it. And
I love those things, man.
It's bad.
Love those kind of things. Really?
Yeah. I guess like a lot of bad things happened, but.
God, I picked a Phil Spector song. How can you try to be like?
I know, right?
Trying to outdo me here? Like this guy's a maniac, and you're trying.
You know this song.
What?
JD.
Yeah, it's Christmas Wrapping.
I've never heard this song before in my life.
Wait, give it a second. You got to go into
come on.
Go into the refrain.
You're not that much younger.
She does a lot of rapping.
Come on, get to the lyrics already.
We're gonna get.
This sounds like that. This sounds like that Blondie.
It sounds like Blondie, but it's not.
Yeah.
Fab Five Freddy is.
It's played like it's played
all the time during Christmas.
I've never heard this song.
It's one of the top 50 that they play.
Never heard it in my life.
Also,
maybe it's a regional thing too.
South Park, Merry Fucking Christmas.
That's a good one too. Yes. Yeah. No, I honestly never heard that song before in my life.
Oh my God. You're not that much younger than us. How could you have never heard that before?
I don't know.
And the name of the She Daisy one was Deck the Halls. So anyway, yeah, there you go.
That's an obscure song. Deck the Halls.
No, but by She Daisy, and it's a medley that they do. It's really amazing.
Well, I'll check that
it's
one
more
out.
it's
wait.
It's a Christian rock thing. I don't know why I like it, but I do. I just like the arrangement that they've got.
One of my other favorite Christmas songs is Christmas at Ground Zero.
What's that?
Oh yeah.
Weird Al.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I haven't heard that.
Christmas at Ground Zero. The missiles are on their way.
Heard that song. I have not heard that song.
Holiday.
I don't think I've heard that song in at least 20 years. That's hilarious. I forgot about that. My nose is itching. Yeah, I just like that. I mean, I enjoy because everyone, again, I work in high school and everybody loves Mariah freaking Carey or Taylor Swift. Apparently has some Christmas songs that I have to
I'm sorry, she's not quite up there with the Christmas.
I mean, nobody is really. It's hard. Like I said, I love the Smashing Pumpkins, and I forgot that they had a Christmas song until I heard it today on the Guardians thing, and I forgot. God, this song sucks. And I love the Smashing Pumpkins.
But there are some that have become staples over the years. You know. Oh, what was it? The one that What's the one that nobody likes anymore? The one the duet that was sung in Elf.
Oh, Baby It's Cold Outside.
Yeah, Baby It's Cold Outside. Like people don't like that one anymore. So.
It's misunderstood. The lyrics are misunderstood.
Yeah.
Right. And again, that's one of those things where people need to understand that art is created and people it's really tricky when people try to apply, because again, it's not a song about a guy trying to talk a girl into, come over, doing something against her will. I don't want, now we're getting in trouble. The song is like from the 30s, like, oh, I don't really want to do this, but I really kind of do. I do want to do this, but I have to pretend
it's about the dance between man and woman.
It is. And it's hard to apply like 21st century thinking to a song written in the 40s.
Yeah.
When social mores were different. It is not a song advocating date rape.
No, not at all.
Which is a shame because Zooey Deschanel does a great version of that in Elf.
Yes, she
does.
She's
a great singer, and I don't think enough people talk about that. Right? Am I wrong on that? She's fantastic.
No, she is singer. Absolutely.
So,
Wizards of Winter too. Sorry,
Wizards of Winter. What is that?
That's
a very obscure one.
No, it isn't. It's Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Oh, okay. I probably heard that. I've heard a ton of Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Yeah.
Or about Christmas in what's the Run DMC one?
I remember that from when I was a kid.
Oh God,
Christmas in Harlem? No, Christmas
not Harlem.
No, it's Christmas in. I forget. I know what you're talking about. I remember the video on MTV when I was a little kid,
and they would play it all the time.
Yeah, I do remember.
Christmas in Hollis.
Hollis, that's what it is.
That's it. Hollis.
Hollis, Queens. That's right. That's where Run DMC's from. That's a good one. Yeah, there's some crappy ass Christmas songs though.
Oh, there is. There's a ton of them.
Tons.
That they play over and over too.
Well,
I'm sorry, Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer gets annoying after the 50,000th time you've heard it.
When you're 6, that song is awesome. Like Dominic hears it this year, he's gonna love it. But I mean, like when you're any older than 12 and you're listening to Grandma Got Run Over and still find it funny, you need to have a lobotomy.
Nice. Lou Monte, Dominic the Donkey.
Dominic the Donkey.
Yeah, there you go.
What?
Look it up. Just look it up. Dominic the Donkey. It's a very old Christmas song.
I've never heard that one before.
You don't have any Italian family?
Your son.
Oh, I am Italian. My name's.
Wait, I was about to say. Hold on.
Oh my God! How could you not? No, your son would love it. It's hysterical.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'll check that one out. We're Northern Italian, so we're not like really Italian. We're kind of in the mountains, so not like.
Well, this is more like New Yorker Italian.
Oh no, we're not from there.
Or Chicago. East Coast, yeah.
Chicago. Yeah, I enjoy that. I enjoy this time of year because I like Christmas. Like I'm not obsessed with it. Like some people get super into Christmas.
Yeah.
Like I like Christmas. I like seeing people get real excited about Christmas time stuff, and I like that people get excited about it. But for me personally, there's not like, I don't know, like I don't get excited about, spices and, the special peppermint flick, because I hate peppermint mainly. But like, I don't know.
Ooh.
Too strong.
That Thanksgiving's over when Wawa, which local convenience store,
I know of Wawa. The legend of Wawa has made its way out to the Midwest.
When they switch from the pumpkin spice flavored stuff to the peppermint flavored stuff.
Yeah.
Wawa is supposed to be like the greatest get, because again, I said it's like a gas station, right? People are like, no, Wawa is more than a gas station. I'm like, all right, fine. I guess we don't have anything close to that in Illinois. Like,
I don't know.
I don't think we do, because there's no one passionate about gas stations. I've never heard anybody go, "Oh, Casey's General Store, man, that's awesome." Like,
they didn't even start out as a gas station. They started out as a convenience store
for milk, mostly milk. Yeah, they sold milk originally, and then
expanded deli, and then
I've heard the sandwiches are really good.
They are.
They are
all handmade.
Yes.
Yeah. We don't have anything. We're not even close to that in Illinois. Nothing even. The thought of eating from a gas station actually makes me want to throw up.
Now you're talking Turkey Hill.
People that get like hot dogs from gas stations, I'm like, you're playing with fire there, my man.
Oh yeah,
like,
no.
Yeah, I see that all the time. And I'm like,
what do you think they ate on Nowhere during the Christmas party in Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special?
Oh, wait. We're going way back to that.
You saw that thing that Cosmo brought over, right? I think they're eating a lot of those.
Okay, so wait. We got to talk about the other reveal, right?
Oh yeah, what is the other reveal? Sorry.
There's actually, I think there's two reveals. One is that they bought Nowhere. They bought Nowhere from the Collector. So the Collector is still alive.
Yeah.
And the Guardians of the Galaxy now own Nowhere, and they're like rebuilding it.
Yes. I didn't even think about that aspect of it, but you're right. That is like,
you're right.
That's what's going on in the beginning of the special.
And then the other is that somewhere along the lines, Gamora, right?
Gamora's gone.
No,
Why
not
is
Gamora. What her sister? God damn it, Nebula. Nebula stole Bucky's arm.
Yeah, that was funny. I had to rewind that twice. I'm like, did he say he stole Bucky's arm?
Yeah,
that was funny.
So wait, hold on. That's a good question. Is Gamora gone? We have the variant.
Well, no, you have the 2014 one is around now.
The original Gamora is gone.
But here's my question:
the variant is
why, unless this is going to be the part of Guardians 3,
I think
why did the TVA not come and pick her up?
Because they're now destroyed, because now
Loki
Kang
ruined that.
them.
Or Kang destroyed that stuff. Yeah.
Well, they destroyed a version of the TVA.
Well, perhaps they did. We don't know.
Okay. So
and she's not in this show. She has no interest in hanging out with the Guardians. She doesn't have that shared experience with them.
Right.
Yep.
I like the last reveal of Yondu and Quill. Like, they got him. They did get Christmas presents.
What did we think of that? Them doing the flashbacks as like a cartoon style.
I liked it. I hated the animation style.
Yes, it's the same as the.
I hate it.
What if animation style?
They made it that way on purpose, like 6 frames a second or something, and slight. I mean, it looked almost like the old rotoscope stuff.
It's supposed to feel like that. It's definitely supposed to feel like old animation.
Like it looked like the animation they had in the Star Wars Christmas special.
It did. It looked a lot like it did. It looked a lot like the animation from the Boba Fett appearance. It did. Yep. You're right. I like the story. It made sense. And I like that Yondu, because again, I love Yondu being a dick, but like feeling bad about being a dick, and like trying to cover up that he's not as big a dick. Like, I mean, the whole Yondu Quill relationship is always entertaining to me. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, and that's the whole thing. Like he's like, no, Christmas, it makes you weak, and then he picks up the present from Quill, and that's how Quill gets his guns.
Mm-hmm. It was cool. Cool little origin story for it.
Yes,
I liked it. I like Cosmo's sticking around. Cosmo's a fun character. I'm glad they're finally gonna do something with him.
No Howard the Duck though.
That's okay. Well, what do you do with Howard the Duck? Like, Howard the Duck is a cursed cursed property,
is
right?
It? You think?
Yeah, because people think of Howard the Duck and they go, anyone who's not like between your age and like 10 years younger than me doesn't know what Howard the Duck is. And if you know what Howard the Duck is, your immediate thought is, oh, that movie sucked.
The movie,
like,
it's
like it's a
cursed Lucas film.
It made a great gag in the first Guardians movie, and I think we're good.
Well, he was in Endgame as well. He's coming out of one of the portals.
Yeah, that's it. Again, a gag. A gag. He's like ambush bug basically.
Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah.
It was fun. It was fun. I enjoy these Marvel specials more than the series because it's not a commitment.
Exactly. More of this. More like, even if you want to do an hour and 15-minute special,
I'll do an hour and
20-minute
special. Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, like these 6-8 episode thing, it's a commitment, man. And like, I didn't feel like I was committed to this. I feel like, oh, this is short, it's effervescent. Like it was like, oh, this is a breath of fresh air. Yeah, I'm good. I'm done.
And it was really good. I mean, like I could take, or like Werewolf by Night, right? Like it was, I like
the idea more than the execution. I didn't love, like, as we went on the show, I didn't care for the execution. Love the idea. Idea. More of this.
Like a few more hour and a half long, or even half an hour long, or even the one shots with fruit are nice,
Yeah.
Like, they're like 3 minutes a piece.
I feel like we need a little bit more of these and a little less of the shows, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One shots. Like one shots. Give me some good one shots.
Speaking of the production value and like making the animation look old style, was it me or was Groot somebody in a costume and not a CGI?
In some parts, it looked like it.
I didn't think about that till you just said it. He looks different. And I couldn't put my finger on why they changed him so much to where he's like buff. But maybe because he's a guy in a costume. I didn't think about that. But I mean, there's so much computer animation.
And I feel like they did that on purpose. I feel like they did that on purpose. I don't think it was like they didn't have the budget to do it. I felt they wanted to make it feel like a low budget TV special.
It's possible. I didn't think about that till you just said it. It's possible. Wait, because Rocket's there.
And right, exactly. Yeah. Rocket's there, but Groot's a guy in a suit. Like it was like, okay. Like,
that's an interesting.
This was an odd choice because we saw Teenage Groot in Endgame.
We did. He didn't look like that.
He did not look like that.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out why they changed. I figured it's just
he's growing up, right?
He's growing. I don't know. That's part of me wants to tweet at James Gunn because James Gunn answers his tweets. Part of me wants to say, hey, why was Groot different? I don't know. It's a good question.
Well,
at the same time, Gunn did not do Endgame.
Right.
Perhaps that's not what he wanted. Perhaps that is not what he wanted Groot to be like.
I kind of feel like they were trying to go for this, like, we want to make it feel low budget without being low budget.
It's possible.
Yeah, but it had to be.
He does have Corman roots.
It had to be, and not CGI. It had to be CGI. It had to be like.
I think his face was CGI when he's talking and stuff, but I think walking around, it was a guy in a suit.
Maybe.
It's got that foam look to it. Like, if it's not, they did a great job of making CGI look like a guy in a suit.
Because he did kind of have like a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man vibe.
Yeah. Yeah, he actually looked like a linebacker. But then, like,
he did. He was buff. He's buff this time around. Even the original Groot wasn't that like sturdy looking.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. The original Groot would grow from the Groot that we saw in Endgame, right? Because he's thin and he grow up a little bit, and I mean that seems to be the progression. This is like, your kid goes from skinny, hits puberty, becomes really buff in high school and college, and then you start to get skinny.
So this Groot isn't Groot, the Groot from the first card,
right?
This
I know.
Is a new,
so
again, people, I don't know if people know that. I don't know if people realize.
I don't think people realize that. No,
that baby Groot was a baby of Groot, not just the last part of Groot that has to regrow. Right. Groot actually died in the first Guardians. Like, this is the second Groot. This is Groot 2.
Right.
So I don't know. It's very interesting. I'm very curious to see what he's going to look like in the next movie.
I don't know. Do they just age him up to look like the original Groot again?
I hope not. I hope he looks different. Right. And maybe that's what they're preparing for. Maybe they're just preparing us for having a Groot that looks different than the original Groot, just to hammer home the point. Because again, Gunn is trying to make that thing. I think it frustrates when the people don't realize that Baby Groot or what was Baby Groot was not the original.
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe adult Groot, and then the new adult Groot won't look like. I don't know. I have no idea. It's interesting. It's an interesting question.
It's interesting that you guys didn't realize it or pick up on it as much as I did, because I didn't have a problem with it. I just kept.
I rewatched it a few times, and I had to think it was CGI though.
Oh, I don't care whether it was.
I don't care if it was CGI or if it was a guy in a suit. Like, it felt like they made it look like a guy in a suit. Like they were doing that on purpose.
It's a conscientious decision, and I would love to know what specifically it was.
Yeah, because Gunn's really good at doing little things like that to give something a feel, like that, just to have fun with it. I mean, look at the opening of Peacemaker, and like that's meticulously done to look bad. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, because he can't,
Not bad,
John
but
Cena can't dance.
Just like surreal.
Yeah.
Right? It's got a
Right.
very surrealistic tone to it that's hilarious.
Right,
Like,
exactly. So like I feel like that was a choice that was done on purpose, but
yeah,
what the reason is,
it was definitely done on purpose, but I wonder why. It's very interesting. Well, put something on Twitter about that.
I will. Yeah, so, and let's see what else. And then, okay, we can't not talk about the wonderful performance by Kevin Bacon.
He's great. He had such a blast making this.
Yeah.
I would love to have been in the when I'm sure Gunn called him, was like, "Hey, got an idea," and I'm sure he was like, "Oh my god, I'm so in."
And it's funny because like you see Kevin Bacon and you laugh and you think it's funny, and then you realize, oh my god, the tie-in is Quill saved the universe by dancing.
Yep, like his hero Kevin Bacon. I love that. Like, and you stopped the mass killer at the camp. He's like, I didn't know that didn't happen. Like, that made me laugh. They completely butchered Friday the 13th. Like, that was entertaining.
Wait, and what was the other movie they referenced that he was in?
Footloose.
Footloose, and there was
shockingly not Tremor. Well, Groot wouldn't have been around, or Quill wouldn't have been around for Tremors. So
yeah, that's true.
Oh, funny.
Yeah, that's the other that's the interesting thing about his character is like he has all these references, but like they would have stopped at a certain point. Like he was a kid when he got abducted.
Because again, his mom was young, so she was filling him full of pop culture references from her youth. So again, his stuff is all from like the 70s and mid to the mid 80s.
Right. But it's funny because it's like when you think about it, it's like, but they now have been back to Earth. They traversed the universe. Like he should know more about.
Well, I think he does because again, it's their understanding.
Yeah.
And it's like they clearly didn't understand it, but like Peter didn't. Peter Quill's not like, oh yeah, that's the actor. He knew there was the actor Kevin Bacon, and understood it. Again, fish out of water stories are always fun.
But the fact that he was horrified that they had trafficked Kevin Bacon because his experience, right? Because he was
being trafficked,
right? He was like, no. Okay, put him back.
You don't want to dig too far into that because then you could go further than say Peter Quill suffers from Stockholm syndrome, where he becomes so identified with this kidnapper, he identifies him as his father, right? So there's a lot going on there that you really don't want to. You don't want
to pull on that thread too much because then you might unravel the character of Peter Quill, and he won't be as much of a hero anymore.
Yeah, people already have issues with Pratt as it is, and we don't need to go any further with that. Peter Quill's a fun character.
Oh, guys, by the way, when Gunn was asked on Twitter about Groot's new look, how Groot's new look came to be, especially with his head being too small for his body, and he responded, "Well, yes, Groot, or Swole Groot, as we call him, is getting bigger outward as well as upward. As you can see by now, he has a different, stockier physiology and a more outgoing personality than his father did." He went on to talk about how Swole Groot, this is great, Swole Groot, came to be, tweeting, "Swole Groot is 100% computer generated thanks to the fine folks at Frame Store and Weta Digital."
Oh, wait. Yeah.
So we will continue to get Swole Groot in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. No, they don't know. They don't know about that. But that's it about. So it's Swole Groot. He's just swole.
Yeah, but again, it does look like a guy in a suit. I feel like that was a choice. It's somewhere along the lines of like, yeah, let's make it look like that. Because I have a feeling he's not going to look the same by the time we get to the movie.
Probably not.
Yeah, I mean, Gunn so far has I don't think. Maybe he's got a plan, and if he does, cool.
Gunn has a plan. It's his swan song from the Marvel Universe.
Yes, and then he's in charge of DC.
Superman.
Good luck for him. Good luck to him for that.
He's gonna make Superman.
Yes, he's going to give us a good Superman movie.
He's bringing. Yeah, what was it between him and The Rock? They're bringing back Henry Cavill, and the latest thing I saw was that DC did not want to bring Henry Cavill back.
No,
at all.
No, actually. The head of DC,
Walter Hamada, did not want to.
Hamada didn't, and the Rock went above his head to the heads of Warner Brothers, and they were.
Well, you went over his helmet.
Well, then he was gone. Then Walter Hamada was gone, and now we're in the spot we are now, which we don't know what the DC whatever it's called now is, which neither do they. So the next couple of years should be interesting.
This is true.
So I also love that, like, when Peter's talking to him and he's like, look, we're gonna get you home. Don't run. And then he took off, and it was just like you knew that was coming, but it was still funny.
Because it's all about delivery. Like, and Kevin Bacon's a pro. Chris Pratt's funny, so it worked.
Yeah. It was so good. And do you think he's going to show up again?
Yeah, he said
Maybe.
I'll see you for Easter. It's like, okay.
Maybe. I would love to see. I'm sure Kevin Bacon would love to do a Marvel proper.
Yeah. Did you stick around for the end credit scene? Yeah. So they're decorating Groot as a Christmas tree, puts his arms down, and then Rocket goes, "We'll have to do another special."
Made me laugh. I do. I hope Marvel keeps doing these things. They're great.
So, okay. So we got Werewolf by Night, and then we've got this. So, like, Werewolf by Night is an offshoot, one standalone story. We'll see if any, like, they said it's going to affect the rest of the MCU. So I'm guessing Man Thing and Werewolf by Night will be in other things.
Like Blade or something like that, I'm guessing.
Yeah. But this, and then
Stalkers, whatever.
This is a holiday special with the Guardians, which was a weird choice, but it worked. Like, what do you do next? Like
Guardians of the Galaxy 3, of course.
Well, that's coming.
Right. But I'm saying, do you pick another odd property that isn't going to get a full series, isn't going to get...
I would do that if I had my choice. That's what I would do. Like, what do we got coming up? Like
Christmas with the Hulks.
No, just Christmas. I like to see, because we got a Halloween one, we got a Christmas one. It would be fun if we could get something like for Valentine's Day, 4th of July. Some of those things would be kind of fun too.
Shouldn't Captain America be 4th of July?
Should be.
Who would be Valentine's Day? Wait a minute.
Wanda
and Vision back?
Evil.
So we're back to buckets of blood then, right?
Buckets of blood, buckets of gore. Yes, I think that they can make things up. There's a lot of things they can go. Like, they don't have to do tied to holidays either. Like, I think these are just good to do. And there's such a treasure trove in the Marvel universe of characters you could just, that don't need again, Werewolf by Night didn't really need a movie. So stuff like that, I think it'd be great. I think there's a ton. I'd like Nighthawk or
Night Thrasher.
Not Night Thrasher. The Raptor. What was his freaking name? Darkhawk. A Darkhawk thing would be kind of fun. Stuff like that. Power Pack. Those kind of things.
Wait a minute. Darkhawk. What was he?
He was a very 90s-esque character.
He was.
Wait a minute. Darkhawk is
he was the one who was like he was switching places with an alien, right?
Yeah,
and controlling the body.
No, he had alien armor.
Alien armor, right?
Very distinctive look. It was cool.
Yeah, great design. Great design.
Oh my god, my brain's going blank.
I actually have those in the basement.
I have some of the original issues too somewhere in the basement.
When you saw
I bequeathed my comic book collection to Andrew, and he's very excited about it.
Nice.
Yes.
Who was the artist who worked on the series?
Darkhawk. Oh God, it was in 1990.
No, Mike Manley, who has been on this podcast. Like 4 times.
Oh, brought it full circle.
He was on the first time we went live in front of an audience. He was our guest. Yeah, he was the artist for like the main run of the book.
It was a fun book. It was very Spider-Man-esque. They were trying to find a new Spider-Man in that era.
Yes. Yeah, but it never took off, unfortunately.
No, it just
not like other books.
Yeah, this didn't have a good take on it, right?
Yeah,
I don't know.
DeFalco was the
because they were introducing a lot of stuff at the time: Sleepwalker, Darkhawk, NFL Super Pro. Like they were throwing a lot of shit at the walls in those early '90s, seeing what sticks during the boom.
Do you remember when they went through all those weird alter egos for Spider-Man?
Oh yes,
Ricochet.
Wasp? No, not Wasp. Ricochet. Hornet, that's what it was. Let me look this up real quick. Spider-Man, Ricochet. Here we go. I'll look quickly. That was from what were the other ones? Sorry about this. Terrible audio.
Terrible.
The Hornet, Ricochet, Prodigy, and Dusk.
That was it. Prodigy.
Really?
Yeah. It was. It was during the whole.
It was post-Clone Saga. Peter's being hunted by, I want to say, Kingpin. It was the Identity Crisis storyline. I'm looking up on Wikipedia right now.
So his idea was to change from being Spider-Man to a different hero, and he tried out these 4 different heroes
that ran through the different series. Right. That's
right.
Spider-Man. It was the Slingers. That was the name of the team. They eventually gave them all the suits to a team of superheroes. They became known as the Slingers.
Right. I think the idea was trying to be like we want to see who you like the best, and then we'll make that Spider-Man's new alter ego.
Nah,
and
I don't think
that always works. Yes.
Nah, because they weren't gonna do that. This is just a little thing to spike. Because this we're talking post Clone Saga.
Post Clone Saga,
right?
So wait, what came first, this or the Reign of the Superman?
Reign of Superman.
Okay, so is this a copy of the Reign of the
is
Superman?
Essentially. Well,
Yeah.
because in the Reign of Superman, none of them are actually Clark Kent.
No, they're all 4 different characters.
This one is actually Peter Parker, but it's absolutely inspired by Reign of the Superman. Because this is summer '98. That's when I graduated high school, and that was like '92.
Yes,
good 6
yes,
years.
It was. Yeah,
jeez,
yeah, that was. Oh my god.
Oh
That
god, it
such
was
a
followed
weird-
up by the Gathering of the Five. That was one of the worst Spider-Man stories ever.
Can't be any worse than the other.
No, it's worse. The Gathering of Five, it's way worse. This is what led into the John Byrne Spider-Man reboot that was trash.
See, that's when I was
It was
out
bad
for
because it was bad because it was very, very bad. And there's nothing good about it. And the John Byrne Spider-Man is so terrible. And it led into the Howard Mackie Spider-Man, which was worse.
Yeah. Well, again, it was the clone. I got so fatigued with the Clone Saga. That's really when I stopped.
Funny story. Bedtime stories. I did the Clone Saga because it was like I could get like 5 nights out of it. So I
Uh-huh.
did like the basics of the Clone Saga, and my kid now loves Ben Reilly. He
Of
wants
course.
to be the Scarlet Spider for Halloween. And I'm like, my God, are you a freaking nerd? Like,
Yeah. That's the one character like they really in earnest haven't tried to bring back in any way.
they brought Ben Reilly back a couple of. Ben Reilly's back.
Oh, is he? See,
Oh yeah, he was lead last year. He was the lead in the Spider-Man title.
I didn't realize that.
Oh yeah,
As
he's
the
back.
Scarlet Spider or as Spider-Man?
As Spider-Man, but he was actually brought back as the Jackal.
That's right. Okay.
And they brought Kane back as the Scarlet Spider about 10 years ago.
Yeah, Kane.
And Kane rules. Kane is an awesome character.
He's
No, he's awesome. He's the dark Peter Parker.
I was about to say he's the very dark version
Yeah.
of Peter Parker. He's
That's why
he's Luke Skywalker when he's going over to the dark side.
Yes, but he's trying to be better. And that's what made the Scarlet Spider book awesome. Is like because he took on the identity of the one brother and he looks exactly like the other brother, and he's trying to carve his own niche. It was good. The
I
Scarlet
feel
Spider
like John
book was good.
hears us going wah 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 wah.
Yeah,
wah.
pretty much.
all I heard was that you were talking about emo Peter Parker. Apparently,
No, he's
not at all. Not at all.
no.
I actually
Kane is a very dark character.
Yeah, Kane was the first clone, the failed clone of Spider-Man. The Clone Saga, I don't know, like it's much maligned because again, this tie it back. We talked about the Star Wars movies having like no, they didn't know where they were going. The Clone Saga is very similar to that. The Clone Saga lasted like 2.5 years, and Marvel didn't know what the plan was. They say, well, we were going to replace Ben Reilly, Spider-Man Ben Reilly, but they made him Ben Reilly and he looked different. Like again, you couldn't make that stick.
If you go back and listen to our Tom DeFalco, Ron Friends episode, DeFalco talks about that. Like, yeah. And like they wanted to end it a couple times, but it was like selling books.
And it was in the bust period.
Yeah.
It was the only thing that X-Men and like Age of Apocalypse X-Men was all that was selling.
Yep.
So they had to keep going. So they just kept, and they didn't know where it was ending. They never, and at the end, they're like, what do we do? We got to end this. What do we do? I don't know. Bring back Norman. And they were like, oh shit. All right. I guess there's nothing else we can do.
Yeah,
It wound up being
amazing.
That's a good decision because actually there's a lot of good Norman stuff that came after. Right, that after he came back. So I mean, it was good to have Norman back on the plate when the Spider-Man movie came, which has not aged well, mind you. I watched the first 2 Spider-Man movies in the Thanksgiving. Spider-Man 1 is not as good as I remember it. Spider-Man 2 is 2's aged really well. Spider-Man 1, it's not bad.
I still stand by Spider-Man 2 is my favorite Spider-Man movie.
I will listen to that argument. That's really good. It's a really good movie.
It's the first time I felt like because Spider-Man's okay, but he feels more like, especially that fight scene on the subway feels like a Spider-Man fight scene.
The Raimi Spider-Man the Peter stuff is very Peter, but the Raimi Spider-Man never really feels like Spider-Man to me. You know, like Toby is so like not quippy, not like
right.
Yeah, that's writing
fun
too.
Yeah, no, it is, but it is. And again, that's my flaw with the the Raimi Spider-Man series in itself. And again, I think the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man feels more like Spider-Man, but Tom Holland's Spider-Man is Spider-Man.
Yeah. I mean, I don't argue with that, but I just love.
Oh, I love the movie too. It's so good. Alfred Molina is great.
Yes. Yeah.
And there's such a great character arc with him, and he's like a sympathetic villain, and as we saw, Willem Dafoe was the right choice for the Green Goblin. He got to do a good performance in the last Spider.
Well, his face was the goblin. I mean, like they did that. Why?
Him.
Why did they put that helmet on? The only problem I still have with the second movie, oh God, you guys are freezing up. The only problem I have.
Oh, we're waiting.
Yeah, the only problem I have with the second movie is that the whole, oh man, I feel depressed. I lost my power because I'm depressed.
But that's from the comics.
That's right out of the comics.
That's also Peter Parker. Like he has panic attacks. Like that's what kind of makes him the most everyman superhero. It's just stuff didn't work because he lost his confidence in himself.
Yeah.
That's right from the comics.
That's right out of the comics.
That's biological processes just
take it up. Hey man, do you ever have a panic attack?
Yes.
Yes, your biological processes kind of stop.
Yes,
stuff doesn't work. Stuff doesn't work the way it should.
No, you kind of stop and you go down, but like I don't know. I can still
You have a problem with that? Take it up with. Was it Stan who wrote Spider-Man No More?
That's Stan. That's Stan Lee. That's Lee and Ramita, my man.
Yep, I know that.
Again,
I knew it was Ramita.
Let's talk about. We joked about. What did we joke about earlier? Erections and whatnot, and well, like, hey man, sometimes stuff doesn't work because you're just not feeling it. And you've psyched yourself out.
You missed last week. There was a lot of erection talk.
I missed it. love boner talk. New episode title. So we've gone long.
So anyway, let's bring it back real quick to Guardians Holiday Special. Yes, we talked Kevin Bacon. We talked Drax.
We got it. It's a 45-minute show. We got it. We covered it all.
I'm trying to think, is anything like? No, I mean, yeah, we got it all. It's
not much to talk about. It's like this is only 45 minutes.
You're in and out. I mean, I kind of feel like maybe the brother sister thing might play into the third movie.
I could see it.
I'd like to see if in the third movie Bucky's walking around without his arm. It's like there were guys on YouTube that were doing comparisons, and it's not quite the same. So maybe they took like a prototype or something.
Okay.
Or, like the timing is all weird too. Like he got
a new arm in Black Panther and like
right.
And
that's the original
Falcon Winter Soldier. He has the black and gold arm now.
Yeah, he's got it. That's his old arm. How they found it, I don't know. I don't want to know. I don't need to know the origin of how Nebula got Bucky's old arm. I'm just happy that Rocket has it now.
It's just Nebula, took a trip to Earth, decided I'm gonna be a little larcenous, and I'll just yoink.
It doesn't matter. It's just funny.
But she didn't get it for Rocket because remember the whole gift giving thing was spontaneous. So it just it had to be something that was just lying around, and she decided to give it to him.
Yeah, it's true. You're putting way too much thought into this.
I'm trying to play this in my head. So Civil War.
Oh God, please don't do this. It's a gag. Like it's just a gag.
He gets his arm ripped off in Civil War and was left at that. Wasn't it left at the facility where Nemo took them and they had the conversation?
It doesn't matter. It's a
there are nerds out there.
I know. I'm trying to not have us be those nerds. I'm really trying.
We're attaching all the points to go. Wait a minute. The arm was ripped off here, and then was it picked up by the Wakandans, or was it left behind? And did Nebula search for it? Now wait a minute. But he wanted the arm. Remember?
Yeah.
He did want the arm. That's the joke.
The arm in Endgame.
Yeah.
He wanted the arm in Endgame.
Infinity War.
Infinity War, and he's like, "No,
I'm gonna get that arm."
And he did get the arm. It's the perfect Christmas gift for Rocket. That's all it is. It's a joke. It's a joke.
That means Nebula searched for years to get him the arm.
No, it had to be some.
Nebula loves Rocket,
right? But she didn't know that she was going to do a Christmas thing. It had to be something she had already took.
Guys, we're putting way too much thought into this already. I'm begging us to steer back.
Yep. No, we must figure this out.
Nah.
If it's the last thing we do,
I'll just enjoy it. Thank you.
All right, fine. We'll let that rest. All right. It's good. I mean, what more can you say about it? I mean,
nothing. Go watch it.
Yeah, if you haven't watched it, go watch it. I mean, we've spoiled it for you at this point. So
yeah.
Cool. Excellent.
I love when they're bringing. I will say that when they're bringing the gift out, and he's in the box, and he's like, "Oh, what'd you guys do?" And then when he realizes it's moving, and there's someone there's like, "What did you guys do?" It's just like stuff like that. It's just perfect delivery. It was really good. Yeah,
it's great stuff.
All right, we're not going to score it because it was a special. I don't think, unless you want to.
I love it. Go watch it.
Yeah, go watch it. It's well worth it. It's a high score, definitely.
Hey, look at that. We agree this week.
Yay.
Hey, it is a Christmas miracle.
There you go. All right. Well, let's wrap it up with either what did you learn on the podcast this week or any recommendations? And John, you can go first.
Wednesday.
Oh my God, I was going to watch it today and I did not get a chance yet.
It's brilliant. I love it. I shotgunned it in 2 days with the nephews, and even they loved it. And I'm talking like even an 8-year-old is sitting there with me watching it, and it's just like, they loved it. Like, it's hard to get 3 boys, 12, 10, 14, 12, and 8. It's hard to get them to sit and watch anything together because their interests are so disparate. No, they all loved it. And we couldn't stop. It's like, it would end. It's like, we got to have dinner. No, more. Okay. They were giving up food to watch it. Okay. Next episode, we shotgun the whole thing in 2 days. It's really good.
Cool. All right. GD.
I watched a quick little documentary today on YouTube channel called Comic Tropes. It was Why Did DC, it's just a name. It says, Why Did DC's New 50? And it was just this quick half-hour examination of the New 52s. Man, it was probably the last time I was really excited to be like a Wednesday comic fan. And then it quickly funneled out because there was no steam behind anything.
Yeah.
So it was a really good documentary on an era of comics that was really interesting. But much like we talked about earlier with Star Wars and with something else we talked about that related into it, there just wasn't enough planning, or Clone Wars. There just wasn't enough planning behind this big thing. They had this big event, but they really didn't have the planning behind it. And DC hasn't quite caught up to where it was since then.
You mean Clone Saga, not the Clone Wars.
Clone Saga, pardon me.
Don't.
That's something different.
Don't confuse your clones. Lots of people like the Clone Wars. All right. Well, I will recommend that you go to superheroespeak.com where you can find the podcast every week. Links to all our social media at the top of the page, comic reviews by our good friend Chris, and so much more. Other than that, I don't really, this week got away from me and I didn't watch anything. I was going to watch Wednesday. So I'm going to double John's recommendation. Go watch Wednesday. Maybe we'll talk about it next week if JD gets a chance to watch it. I doubt it's not going to happen. No interest. Don't you like the Addams Family?
I do like the Addams Family, but I mean, we're at school this week, and just last week, if you said, "Hey, watch the Addams," I would have been able to do it. But because I watched House of the Dragon. Oh, by the way, House of the Dragon, really good. Go watch that. So.
All right. Well, on that note, as always, thanks for listening, and don't let you keep caught in the door. Have a good week.